is a lot of money, about $76 million.
Despite a marked shift towards the left in last year's American presidential election, European socialists are heading into June's ballot in turmoil. The polls suggest that the European Socialist Group, which comprises 217 MEPs at the moment, will have to content themselves playing second fiddle behind the conservative European People's Party, who look likely to emerge as the leading group.
Find the poorest country in your neighborhood.
But the leader of the European Socialists believes the Conservative and Christian Democrat governments have stolen the policies of the left to fight the global economic crisis.
The social democratization of conservative governments has happened with astonishing speed. If you listen to Frau Merkel, Monsieur Sarkozy, or even Signor Berlusconi, they talk like Karl Marx in exile. They've taken measures that have long been demanded, in vain, by the socialists, and which the conservatives now realize have relevance. In my view, once in the polling booth, citizens will understand quickly that it has to be better to vote for the original than a pale copy.
His optimism, though, hides an uncomfortable truth. Socialists hold only 8 of the EU's 27 governments. But during the 90s and the years following the turn of the millennium, when socialist governments were more numerous, they played a very unsocialist role in the deregulation of the financial markets.
They had to question themselves on the welfare state, Keynesianism, public services, everything which in the end formed their historic basis. So today, when these socialists demand a return to regulation, to state power, etc., they find themselves weakened because they're calling for something that they have been fighting against.
This defiance is even more pronounced among the new member states, like Hungary and here in Poland, where the opinion polls predict the Democratic Left Alliance, or SLD, will only win 10% of the vote in June at best. The ruling Conservative Civic Platform Party is expected to dominate. There's distrust of the left, even among those born after the fall of communism.
Western Europe didn't experience communism and people don't know what it is. Now, socialism has won again in the United States. People are happy to view Barack Obama as a rock star. But the consequences of his economic stimulus plan will be felt in a few years. The money he's pumping into the economy will have to be paid back one day. Poland got into huge debt in the 70s, and we are the ones who have to pay it back.
But 20 years after the fall of communism, it's what the socialists did while in power in the 90s that's turning people away. Then, the SLD undertook a widespread campaign to liberalize the economy, which was not without its political scandals. Some socialists believe the party has lost its soul and have refused to put themselves up for election.
The left wasn't able to benefit from the fall of neoliberalism because it had embraced it so fervently. Privatization, the flat rate tax proposed under deregulation all came from the SLD. Now, that neoliberalism and capitalism, which was to have solved everything, has come flying back at them like a boomerang. The left has no credibility to represent those excluded from the system.
The former socialist prime minister pleaded guilty, but offered mitigating circumstances.
Our mistake was to have been transfixed by power. We had a quasi-religious belief that there was no other way than the capitalism proposed by the West. It was textbook capitalism. And the left signed up to it. Economic freedom, the market, democracy, human rights. But there was no need to give up the fight for a neutral state ideology, tolerance, women's rights and the role of the state. We were too swept up in the course of events.
They are regrets shared by socialists in Western Europe.
We were the ones who abandoned our principles and values several times, principles that are very European, so we could pursue this mad capitalism of the casino.
The contradiction between theory and practice is weighing heavy on the socialists' European election strategy. And it was no more evident than at the last European Council meeting in March. When the leaders of the conservative European Popular Party surprised everyone by unanimously proposing José Manuel Barroso for another term as Commission President, the Socialists were caught unawares and couldn't respond.
We will take it quiet, cool, and we will make our decisions at the right moment. But today, this is not on the agenda.
3 countries with socialist governments, the UK, Portugal and Spain, also backed Barroso, while the SPD, tied into an alliance with Angela Merkel's Conservatives in Germany, didn't want to rock the boat.
These 4 countries represent the heart of the European Socialist Party. In other words, the socialist PSE machine is totally jammed. It can't function anymore and can expect a revolt because this situation is untenable. The PSE won't be able to continue without a candidate now that its opponent has declared one.
In France, Belgium and Italy, revolt is already in the air.
The French socialists are opposed to this strategy. We condemn the renewal of José Manuel Barroso. We consider him to be deeply responsible for the way the Commission has handled this crisis. It was completely sparked off in this neoliberal wave, and we plunged into this global crisis. I don't think Mr. Barroso has the credibility for me, as a socialist, to present and defend my ideas, my manifesto to the electorate, a manifesto which has been approved at the heart of the European Socialist Group. At the same time saying I support Mr. Barroso, well, it's just not possible.
That's not a view held even by other members of the Portuguese delegation. And Barroso's reputation remains good with several socialists, particularly among the new member states. According to some who support him, the European left are still demanding a social and economic programme from the 1960s.
The socialist parties and our group are still attached to traditional ideas which, in today's world, are inappropriate for the new situation and even damage workers. The European left demands sweeping modernisation to take on the 21st century.
Caught by the suddenness of the economic crisis, the European socialists appear unable to draw up any new rules, quite simply because they don't seem to have any consensus on what to include. And as diverging views abound, the group continues in a state of paralysis.